Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the reigning world champion in the red, the Frenchman from Team Liquid. It's Clem, up against the best Protoss from Korea. We have the smiling assassin in the blue. It's herO. In a best-of-5 Terran versus Protoss Grand Finals on the new StarCraft 2 balance patch. And whether you're rooting for herO to be a light in the darkness for the Protoss, or for Clem to just start tearing through him once again, it'd be awesome if you start tearing through that like button. And maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,395 likes on this. 495 likes on this video on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. herO, where is that probe going? herO scouts with the probe, sends it out completely off to the left side of the map in order to avoid that first Reaper going straight across. There is a Reaper wall as well, so herO making big moves to deny scouting information, which seems always a bit optimistic against Clem as we play Ring Around the Nexus. But, oh, it looks like Clem has been naughty this year, and he gets a lump of resonating glaives directly in his face for Christmas. Loses the first Reaper, but oddly there's a second one ready. It comes back around and very importantly scouts the second Reaper. It dies to it, which is probably the most painful way to go about it. But just knowing that that Reaper is on the way and the command center is already laid down will give herO some of the space. Oh, the pre-grenade just chasing things down. Another one on the way. And, well, Clem should be able to take out the Adept. The Hellion survives with 2 HP. There's a Stargate behind it. But no one ever expects Adept number 3. Come on down. He did tap the SCV with the probe, so that means he could have potentially killed it with one more Adept hit, but instead decides to get up into melee range with the Reapers and Hellions, which seems a bit ill-advised. But a Stargate. Now check that one off your bingo cards. Not something we get to do very often. The Stargate, a high risk and medium to high reward option, but certainly different than the Blink Stalkers we see from both Clem and most of his Protoss opponents. Okay, max packs, almost every game. The Reaper Hellion coming in. Adepts and Stalkers in the way. The shield battery just a few seconds too late, and that will cost 4 probes their lives. The Oracle finishes off the Reapers. He gets an energy recharge after lighting it up. I was about to criticize lighting up the Oracle so early just to kill a Reaper or two when he's already going to scout the Stargate, but then he dropped that extra 100 energy. And maybe not all is right in the world, but it's something. So, when you see it, well, we'll see one way or another. But if you look very closely at the screen, you know, I won't spoil the surprise. We'll see if herO's ready for it. Adept scouting forward, looking for more. And the mineral line is, of course, vulnerable. Slaps down a Revelation. Looking for the mineral line. And does he see it now, Mr. Krabs? The Widow Mine from above the dish. You know, a Stalker is better than the Oracle actually dying to it, but herO was clearly suspicious that something like that might be happening. There's a Stasis Ward. Another Widow Mine in the main will take out an Adept that managed to shade in, and the Cyclone will help finish it off. The Stasis is out in front. The Stasis with enough vision range. It was buffed a couple patches ago, so that way you can at least see what's around it. So the Stasis could slow things down or act as a dramatic observer. Robotics Bay is on the way. Mech Protoss out of herO. He has a grand total of 2 gateways. His army is 2 Phoenixes, an Oracle, and a single Stalker. But it's very hard for Clem against the Stargate opener because herO didn't eat a Widow Mine to the face of the Oracle, thus shattering its face into millions of little tiny pieces. That means that Clem can't really risk moving out. He's going to have to send out, well, he either has to scan for the third or just wait for his triple threat timing. Stim Combat Shield +1. Because the main benefit of a Stargate is the mobility and the ability to just jump on any sort of opportunity. So if Clem moves out, say he loses or gets about half his army caught by the Stasis Ward, suddenly Phoenixes come swooping in any other sort of gateway units. At least that's the possibility. We know that's not happening, especially now that the Stasis was triggered by a single Marine. I would say unlucky, but it's actually now just safe. And I imagine the stasis is cool yet comfortable. All right. And, of course, you get a mandated sick day. How nice of the Protoss. There's another one down the center. Oh, my God, he spotted it. But he didn't quite spot it perfectly. Actually gets a few extra units caught. The vast majority of the bow on the way. Does he see this one? But wait, there's more! Wow. Clem finally gets caught. The third stasis is the charm, and now 5 Phoenixes. Sending another one up. That Marine! Not the cold embrace of the stasis, but instead the very warm embrace of the thermal lances. Widowmine's trying to burrow, successfully doing so. Oracle still in the composition. Army comes out, but the Colossus is dangerously close. Gets knocked down. There is no mortal in the composition, as well as Guardian Shield to help out against the Marines, but the Zealots do not have charge nor any way to get it. I don't believe there's a Twilight Council at all. As the Gateway count is at 3, he's still pumping out. Oh, splits off a single medevac, but he already used the boost, which means these Marines will be unloaded. He can likely pick some of them up. A bit of an awkward unload, but it will eventually pick them all up and knock them down. The Cyclone, Widowmine's on the way, scans, making sure he's not walking in to the rest of the army. A stasis triggers on the third base. I think Clem may have noticed that one. He triggered it off to the side, so it wouldn't be blocked. He's actually getting +1 air weapons on this Skytaw's army. Helps the Phoenixes out a lot. And Clem doesn't really have the economy right now to go for ghosts or any sort of big Viking compass. Fleet beacon? Okay. Well, that Widowmine, a bit more dangerous than the stasis wards. Similar functionality, though. And the Vikings out in front picks up. Hey, guys. Hello? Anyone? Multiple forms of lock-on between the Widowmines and the Cyclones, zoning things out for now. But Clem, unable to really slow down herO's tech progression. As herO, the fleet beacon is lit, and he's calling to the Skytoss, just sprinting them. Will he actually go for a mothership? He's adding on a second Stargate, which indicates it's... I want to say carriers, but Tempests seem a bit more reasonable, a bit more in the price range, unless you are going to take out some sort of Protoss payment plan. But those PPP loans have dried up lately, from what I've heard. Meanwhile, Twilight. More Phoenix... You know, if it's just for Phoenix range, that would also be amazing. Though Phoenix range, and now Ghosts are on the way. The spookiest possible thing for the Phoenixes to contend with. An incredibly well-placed observer spots the entire army moving out, but Clem now has a 40 supply lead, as all these units are incredibly expensive. The Widowmine knocks a Phoenix out of the sky. 2 Tempests in production. Tempest actually pretty good against the Ghosts. But not as good as mass carrier. He cancels the Tempest and goes straight for the carriers. A carrier rush against Clem. And, well, herO hasn't taken inordinate damage. In fact, he hasn't really taken any damage at all. An occasional probe here or there. His base is slowed down. Widowmine's getting cleaned up. He does have Colossi. He's working on charge. Templar Archives as well. There are Widowmines scattered throughout. And those are also helping the spot for the main army. And carriers, 2 carriers is barely an inconvenience. 4 carriers is troublesome, and 6 carriers is a real problem. So right now, herO just starting things off. He needs to survive with enough economy to actually continue carrier and interceptor production, because the first carriers, the upfront cost, well, they don't really tell you about buying the interceptor cartridges on a subscription plan, but that's what you must do. Meanwhile, Immortal gets caught out as Clem's army sharking around, but herO is drawn all the way out of... Come on, herO! The classic select all army. Will he move into position in time? Those probes are vulnerable from the high ground. And now herO's in a very precarious position, as the carriers have arrived, but there's no real anti-air to cover for them without the Phoenixes. He splits off, shield battery in place, desperately needs the Phoenixes out in front. He has +1 air done. EMP washes over the Phoenixes, Guardian Shield helping out. Single Colossus to try to stall out the ground army. Not quite enough to do so, but A single sentry is left behind. Unfortunately, hero getting split between both these armies, and Clem is tearing them apart right now. More Vikings in production, and a third starport as well behind it, chasing things down. Guardian Shield, EMPs, wash it over, but the Marines... the Zealots are just not enough to cut through the medevac healing. Hero's starting to bleed out units. His interceptor count has dwindled to single digits. In fact, he has none. He has no interceptors. Those carriers are just big buckets of empty. Meanwhile, another army coming in from the north side. The double medevac, that was just the dregs left over. But Hero has survived with all his bases. Despite the struggles, he still has 4 carriers, 2 colossi. He's got +1 ground and air weapons. He's working on +2 apiece. Clem has not gotten his 2-2 on the ground either. Double drop split off, which is an existential threat to Hero, but that's a lot of Clem's army supply, and a critical mass is very important to have against the carriers. EMP's on the interceptors. He's going to try to fight heads up, but now Clem's fighting on his side of the map, which means the SCVs are vulnerable. 10 of them dead, but there's nothing to answer for this drop. The army's so tiny. A recall trying to chase down the carrier, but the shield battery will protect it. Now targeting the medevacs themselves. Warping a few stalkers. Single zealot charges in. Colossus kind of off to the side in a relatively good position to intercept. And speaking of intercepting, the carrier count has now reached problematic mass. 6 carriers on the field, +2 air weapons for those carriers. And while Clem's pumping out 3 starports of Vikings at a time, the interceptors actually need to launch. The Colossi just die before the fight even starts. Heroes played such a careful game. And it all comes crumbling down. He just trickled in to an army designed to counter this. And he really... I mean, Clem built the right army to deal with it. But Hero just lays it up for him. And Clem's easily able to knock it down. Hero was on a thin line the entire game, but feels like it just completely frayed at the end there. So close to making the carriers work. And honestly, if he had kept that kind of careful, pragmatic play going, I think he was in a good spot to continue the game. He killed SCVs. He still had a decent economy with decent upgrades. But then he just kind of attacked up a high ground bit by bit, piece by piece. Lost control of the situation, and that means the world champion, not too surprisingly, is off to a 1-game lead as we go into Whispers of Gold. I was on the edge of criticizing Stargate at all, but Hero clearly knows the dangers. He accounted for the Widow Mine early. He made the Phoenixes work for him, even if they are quite fragile. But eventually the Viking count was just too high. Problem with the Vikings is they're an effective counter to both Tier 3 Stargate and Robo, in the form of countering Colossi and carriers. As well as not being too bad when they drop to the ground and fight things like Immortals, so... By the point the Viking count gets to such levels, you really need Storm or Archons or enough gateways to support Stalker production. The carriers alone are not usually enough. We'll see though. Hero clearly trying some new things out. Double gas for Clem. Wants to get aggressive. Well, it's not so much aggression as active scouting. At least that's how the Terrans put it. But if you sit back and you let Adepts and Blink Stalkers just run all over your base, well, it's a great Terran philosophy of you'd rather be the bully than be bullied. And that's what I assume most of Terran design is based around. I'm 1/3 Terran myself. In fact, more than 1/3 lately on the latter. For reasons that I just described and make me sound like a bad person when I repeat them. But it wouldn't be the first time. Okay. That's an interesting pylon placement for Hero. He did not probe scout. So I think this is hedging his bets in case he needs to deal with some early aggression. Not making it super vulnerable, but he can still have a shield battery help the low ground. First scout for Clem is going to be the Reaper headed across. Stalker's out, Reaper. Throws a spiteful grenade. Are we gonna see... Ah, yes, the Twilight Council. The Blink. Wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the games in the series feature it. Very simply, even though the Stargate worked pretty well last game, that Widow Mine could have ended the game almost before it started. A Widow Mine being able to one-shot an Oracle and pretty much all gateway units in the early game makes it very difficult to make anything but the Blink Stalkers work. It isn't the main offender, it's just such a small investment, potentially taking out such a large one. Does not make for a consistent style. And that's why the Stargate is limited to, like, trying to vary things up. Blink Stalker's much more reliable as both a threat to early game Terran, who usually doesn't have enough critical mass of siege tanks or bio units to outright shut them down, and then to have some control when it comes to dealing with units on the map, whether it's chasing down medevacs, shaving off Marines and Marauders. There's no better way to keep that map control. Stalker coming in for another round. Doesn't quite get picked off. Robotics facility on the way. The probes looking for a citizen's arrest. But instead, the Reaper manages to pick up a kill. And a very important scout on the robotics facility. Knowing that the robo's on the way will dictate the pace of the next few minutes. Since it's clear... Oh my god! Oh! Wow. That he actually managed to block the Nexus. That is considered in many cultures to be quite a dick move, but aka a good Terran strategy. And he doesn't even end up losing it. He delayed the third base. It did its job. He's now kept hero at home to an extent, but hero, with that blink done very early, or at least about as quick as you can get it, is chasing down the medevac and is at a small threat of actually killing it. Drops out a Widow Mine for the retreat. Yet again. And the Stalker's still hunting around, but there's just not going to be enough Stalkers off two gates in order to threaten most of Clem's base. He could still potentially pick off the mine and zone out any further harassment, though. Charge is on the way. Did he get a forge? Yes. +1. So hero much more focused on upgrading those gateway units early. Stalkers take out a mine as it scampers in towards the third, but it does get a scout on the third base itself. There's a scouting sentry was sent out. I think it was rallied with the observers or something along those lines. 2 observers out on the other side, watching for anything else Clem might send out. Just now throwing his reactor together. Stim, combat shield +1. Triple threat on the way. Hero with mass charge lot as the choice. Robo Bay followed it up, but it's going to be 8 gates of Blink Stalkers and charge lots. Going to try to meet this army head on and then chop its head off with a huge amount of side blades. Widow Mine drop goes past the Spylon. Clem knows he was spotted. There's no Stalkers in possession, but they're moving now. Clem giving Hero the benefit of the doubt. Probes really can't catch a break today. Is that enough to actually kill the Spylon? I think it might be. That's awkward. Just enjoying the dead space at the back of the base. There's a medevac and a Raven just anchoring those units back home. But Hero does have 61 probes. He's building Colossi. That Raven did not upgrade Interference Matrix. It's not going to be part of shutting down the Colossus composition. And now Hero has vision of this army moving out. Clem is bringing it all together for the most typical push. 3 charge lots are backstabbing in towards the natural. There are sentries with near full energy. 2 auto turrets in the main base. Clem trying to drag, actually kills a Stalker. Trying to drag as much as he can back. The charge lots have +1. Clem now finishing his +1 upgrade. Force fields. Widow Mines drop down. Locks in the Marines, but they're not locked in there with the Zealots. The force field seemed to be hurting more than helping. Those zealots that were counterattacking are coming back across the map. I'm sure that was intentional, right, hero? This is a lot of Terran. Another force field. Colossus finally out on the field. Charge lots moving forward. Widowmine sidestepped. But the tanks are being taken down. That Colossus helping out immensely now. And just enough Stalkers. Don't believe he has Blink ready. Warping in more towards the main. Clem just shifts over. Raven looking for an opportunity, just now has the energy, shaving off some of the Marines in the main base. The Colossus actually has to walk all the way over because there's a Reaper cliff preventing it from doing its Colossus cliff walk, which is usually a good thing. It usually just ends up getting the Colossus killed, but still. But those medevacs are pinned back, and hero deals with it. He's in position to zone out. He's anchored back dealing with the medevacs, but a fourth base on the way, 64 probes. He now has those 8 gates fully online. He's pumping out of the robo. We don't see any other tech progression out of Hero, but he's already reached that 3 base of tech. Whereas Clem is just now adding on barracks 4 and 5 and his 3rd base, which means he hasn't yet gotten to that level of production you'd expect from the mid-game. So Hero staying about even in supply, with an increasingly good unit composition and a better economy. He has great vision of the map as well. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans, so he's lighting it up as best he can. But will it be enough to stave off Clem's attack? Actually shuts down the medevacs, knocks one out of the sky. Only one unit escaping, I think a single Marauder, but Clem sidesteps, goes for the center line base. Charge lots coming up, lose a few probes, but this army is still there. The Colossus is knocked down on the way out. Gets 2 of the medevacs. Unfortunately, not the ones full of units. But Clem again. Good moves, but so far strategically, Hero is winning overall. Meanwhile, Widowmines took a bite out of some zealots on the way over, but there's actually no units at the 3rd. The big counterattack out of Hero, and there's not that much left to deal with it. More Widowmines takes it out. Observer was in place. Colossus taking some damage to the Vikings, but the Blink Stalkers are easily able to move in and deal with it. Clem looking for the flank from the back. Marauders are closing in. And 18 kills. Raven goes down. Auto turret brought out. Terran army finally gets the Colossus. More charge lots reinforcing. But +2 Stalkers. More charge lots on the ground, and Clem is forced to tap out. Hero. Jimmy, did we have that on the screen the whole time? Oh my. We're going to be talking about, you know that Christmas bonus you weren't getting? But, just to recap, those intense moments. Honestly, no idea when, we're going to go from, as Clem gets chased down, Hero counterattacks across the map. This double drop, caught out in the middle of nowhere, and Clem, that level of production that Hero brought to the table, I think making all the difference here. As Hero reached his 3 base production level, and Clem still hadn't even got there. Like, he still hadn't reached the amount of barracks you usually require to actually spend the money off 3 base. So Hero had probably 20 or 30 more supply than Clem was expecting. And he made very good use of it in outright winning the game. I don't want to hear about it. Sorry for any technical difficulties. Okay. Like and subscribe so next year I can hire actually competent help instead of relying on what I sometimes feel are figments of my imagination rather than actual employees. I do what I can. Game 3, all tied up El Dorado. Hero showing quite a command over all phases of the game. Using that Blink Robo to great effect. I think Clem getting a little cheeky with the Widow Mines and the Raven. Not getting any real damage early and then underestimating Hero later. Like, Hero may make small micro mistakes at times and some kind of odd decisions. But he does have that killer edge that allows him to be one of, if not sometimes, the best Protoss player in the world. He just knows when he can go for it. And, you know, maybe a third of the time it doesn't work at all. It falls completely flat. But another third of the time, he ends up winning the game. And a third bit is somewhere in between that, because I'm hedging my bets. But you simply can't play Protoss carefully in this day and age. In my opinion. Actually walling off. So there is no Reaper. Well, okay, that's not true. There is a Reaper jump on this map. You can jump in on the sides of the natural, but there is no way for the Reaper to get down towards the southern part, the mineral wall section of the map, without mining through it first, or, you know, having your opponent do so. The Reaper doesn't notice that the mineral wall has been mined. The probe was slipping away, but there's no vision of the watchtower until you actually go over there. So unless he was specifically right-clicked on this area or looking to see if the mineral wall was mined, there's no reason he should have known. Clem. Adept just kills the Reaper.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Wow. Not something you see. Well, it's happened twice today, so not every day, but twice today. Where Clem ends up losing that Reaper to an Adept. And now the Adept can just come straight across the map. This already slightly hinders the early game. Most Terran builds are calculated out, so that way, by the time the Reaper is driven out by the second gateway unit, not the first one, not the first Adept, that's not supposed to get the damage done. But by the time the second gateway unit comes out, then you can send the Adept across. Like this scenario, we have Reapers and Hellions. Clem still has the counter for it, but the Adept gets another kill, one of the Hellions early. And there's a shield battery on the way. I like it. Hero anticipating the potential Reaper pop, and just slaps down a pylon instead. A much harder wall. Then the Reapers jump by, and you realize that even if you could wall off, it wouldn't necessarily help very much against the Terrans. But here we are. Blink is on the way. More probes dead. The hard wall actually completes. And that one Stalker finally calls for some help. But 4 probes dead to the 2 Reapers that Clem was trying to get rid of anyways. Blink will be done soon enough, and he'll be able to escape from the base with his Stalkers. I imagine he's going to start mining out the mineral wall as well. Clem just picks up everything he has. 2 Widow Mines. Then he drops out the Marines. Except for 1 Marine. I don't know if that Marine's lucky or unlucky, but here we go. The Stalkers, I think, got a glimpse of the medevac. Based on the fact he did that little double take there, I think it's very likely. Meanwhile, more Stalkers patrolling the main. There aren't that many to go around, but there's only a Marine and 2 Widow Mines in here, so blink. 10 seconds out. Working towards the main. Oh my, why are you like this? Trying to give out the sacrifice, but... oh, wow, Clem handles that perfectly. But the Observer is here, and Hero, fun's over. Gets rid of it. Nope, not that patch. Okay. You actually have to do some pretty intense mining micro. Oh, the probe calls in the Stalkers as it maintains its vigil at the watchtower. And Hero can slap down his 3rd. Blinks in 1 Stalker just to test the waters, see if they're filled with siege tanks. They kind of are, but he doesn't know that yet. Meanwhile, mine drop in the main. Hero, quick reaction, sacrifice given, and accepted. Meanwhile, the Stalkers, ooh, in an awkward position. The tank's going to be on the high ground. The Raven can help zone out the Observers. Knocked out of the sky. 1 Observer down to the auto turret, but still, Hero maintaining some good control. He doesn't have a follow-up yet. Oh, another observer taken down. Clem is building up quickly. Hero doesn't have the massive economic... Well, not massive, but he doesn't have the sizable economic lead that he had in the previous game. He's not going to have such a advantage in tech. So we're heading towards a very similar scenario, but with Hero probably about a third of the advantage he had on Whispers of Gold. Okay, we'll call it 35%. Knocks out a medevac on its way home. There's the Robo Bay. The Colossus holding down the unit composition throughout both games so far. Losing them usually tantamount to losing everything. Will Clem favor the direct attack, or is he just going to try to circumvent with medevacs? He knew something about this Raven, or anticipated it. Unfortunately, the Raven sidesteps or glides by the Stalkers and will annoy a few probes. Well-placed shield battery will deal with it, though. Colossus, now in production. Very important. Clem's gonna have the triple threat ready. Combat shield, nearly complete. Third command center and barracks 4 and 5 are on the way. Now mining through, sends out a team to mine through the mineral wall. Unfortunately, many of them are already holding minerals. There are regulations and rules about these sort of things. All right. Billy, stop complaining or we'll replace you with automation. You've been threatening that for years, but until mules can mine gas, I think we're okay. Well, we did try it. Sorry. The Raven the Raven did? Well, somebody was distracted, but knocked out by the Blink Stalkers. Clem, try to get down this ramp as the SCVs are actually clicked onto the wrong mineral patch. Finally getting there. It is quite a bit finicky. Another SCV at the front. I'm not sure if he was intentionally scouting, but the job will get done either way. Joins up with the main army. It's actually Hero being the aggressor here. Most of the army is already on the ground. The tanks are sieging up, and that is a lot to handle. A bio army. Hero's just expanding to the gold, so... What a madman. The force fields are a bit late, and the Colossus will be toppled. The tanks are stuck behind, but the bio army is already strong enough. I think Clem kind of surprised to see a base here. Hero sticking his neck out, but the Frenchman might be guillotining it off. The aggressive defense only works as well as you can support, and losing a Colossus already. The tanks are still moving forward. Hero will try another gold base, an incredibly bold move considering the positioning. That probe continues at the watchtower. No! Finally taken down. Its watch has ended. And I don't know how much longer Hero can keep Clem at bay. Widowmine scattered throughout. Widowmine actually comes all the way to the main army. The bio army, though, the medevacs are out of energy. Hero has forced out so many stims. I think Clem is realizing it now. Wait a second. Oh my god, there's so many mines. Oh my. Oh mine, oh mine. The mines soften up and kill most of the zealots outright. Watchtower's an awkward will they, won't they. 2 more medevacs come out to heal up most of the bio army. Hero has forced out so many stims, though, that these units are really considering rehab instead of a full concerted offensive. More medevacs are needed, but they're constantly empty on energy, which puts them in kill range for a disruptor, potentially. Guardian shield. The Widow Mines will soften things up. Disruptor shot fired. Obliterated before it could even get close by the siege tanks. And Hero set up a nice, beautiful house of cards, and Clem comes over and smashes it with siege tanks. Again, Hero tries to come in, but... Wow. Clem with over triple the resources destroyed throughout these skirmishes. 4 medevacs now sent out. The army on the ground is already strong enough here. I wonder if Hero is recognizing a severe lack of medevacs. I doubt it. It's almost impossible to tell from that position, but a massive drop and a big warp in to respond, but will it be enough? Oh, disruptor shot. Watch out, watch out. Oh, no, the select all army disruptor shot. He energy recharges his shield battery, but it pales in comparison. The zealots die in one hit to the Ruptors, and it's all falling apart. Yet again, it comes tumbling down, just like the Colossi. The Vikings over the top of the Nexus. And hero with another smart game, but no plan survives contact with the Clem. And here we are. Clem taking full advantage. It feels like hero kind of set himself up for that one. Unfortunate. And again, it's so distinct the way hero plays. It's why he's so entertaining and also so emotionally distressing. Like, it seems like he's got such great ideas, and then he F2s his disruptor shot into his zealots. Like, hero, no! What have you done? Well, match point. Frostline. Thank you to Wardi, by the way, for putting on those weekly Monday tournaments. And thank you to you, because you're helping me support Wardi in those tournaments. I believe myself and Loco are subsidizing the prize pool pretty significantly, which is a very businessy way of just saying supporting anyone who's willing to put on weekly tournaments and have these players playing them. You're like, wait, I don't want my Patreon money supporting Clem. Clem's already a millionaire. I don't think that's quite true yet, but give it some time. That is the real struggle with putting on weekly tournaments, is how you limit the prize pool to only going like 40% to Clem each week. But I digress. He hasn't won yet. And honestly, hero is the kind of player who could easily take 2 games off Clem. He's done it before. We saw a command performance on Whispers of Gold, and I think any of the games so far, hero could have flipped. Clem has this sort of inevitable momentum, but hero is so slippery. Like, it's not like fighting another heavyweight boxer. It's like fighting a greased up, I really boxed myself. A greased up baseball player with a bat. Except that's not the real dangerous part. The real dangerous part is pocket sand. Moving on. You never know what's going to hit you next. That's what I'm trying to say here. Apparently, hero also doesn't know what's going to hit him next, based on some of his actions in these games. But again, that's part of the entertainment value. Like and subscribe for more very convoluted, drawn out, and somewhat incoherent analogies? Really committed to the Reaper. You know, against Clem, I like the Reaper walling. Wait, what? Isn't there... Did he... I thought there were 2 Reaper jumps. Oh, the other Reaper jump is on the inside edge here. Of course. Robo first! See? Another fresh new build. Robo first is even more rare than Stargate, because 90% of Robo builds are just a worse version of Blink Stalkers. They give you similar scouting with less potential to ever counterattack. But I really don't think hero is gonna do a sit back and relax Robo build. This has got to be like a Disruptor or Colossus drop or something. There's no way hero goes Robo and then just says, I'm going to play defense. Clem did expand on the high ground. Just playing things careful. Can he do the little grenade thing? I've never understood how to do that. There's a way... If you hit the grenade just right, the Reaper will pop over the corner edge of certain buildings for reasons. And even pro players I've seen, I feel like pro players don't attempt it more because they fail at it like 3/4 of the time anyways, and you look really dumb if you do. It's like Shaq shooting free throws normally instead of granny style because it looks so dumb, even though he had a higher percentage apparently doing that. You know what? There's something to be said for style over substance. Said the person who lost because of their style, but still. It is just a robo first. He just went observer into Colossus. It's interesting hero has completely ignored the new, I'll call it new meta of building a sentry and then energy recharging for hallucination. Colossus. Nope. Of all the things on the screen, Colossus is certainly not one of them. Hard to miss as well. Siege tank. There's no blink. There's no shield battery overcharge. There's a mortal in production, but that siege tank is gonna hurt badly. The probes come off the oh my. Oh my. The 10, 13 probes. It's a disaster for hero. And here comes a liberator of all things. And if a blink build, blink would have been done by now. That's... Huh. I mean, he needs that medevac so badly. Oh, no. What a disaster. Hero's like, okay, well, I do have 3 Stalkers and an Immortal, so that seems like a pretty solid... And he's building a Templar Archives. He's doubling... It's gone so badly. Clem has done critical damage. So Hero's pretending like he didn't, and he's ready to do a full-out attack. I appreciate that because playing just safe and being behind is not a real option. That's not a real strategy you can rely on. The Viking! Oh no, Viking on the ground. How many probes? Actually gets away. I'm trying to target probes. The shield battery, though, is out of energy. Gets one. I love it. Just sprint to storm. Just straight to storm. Nothing else. He's got 2 gateways. He can only warp in 2 Templar. Straight to storm. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 Vespine gas for anything else. Straight to storm. I guess he got charged, but... You need something that dramatic to have any chance of coming back into this. Viking? Is there a frozen Nidus, like mini Nidus worm down there? That's sick. Oh yeah, and goodbye, Viking. Hunted down by the stalkers as they were stalking. Triple threat on the way. The only benefit for hero here is Clem delayed his tech dramatically to do that. Like an all-out assault. He even built a Viking. I think the Viking was originally to maybe shoot down warp prisms, but ended up not being necessary. But little did he know there was a warp prism all along. Oh my god, he's gonna do a storm drop. What year is it? 1999? A scan. He spots the Templar Archives and more gates. Does he know about the 3rd? No, but I'm waiting for that storm drop. All right, give him the razzle dazzle. Hero down 20 supply, which is not desperate, but it's close. An observer out in front. Spotted the Raven. Raven spotted the observer. Bit of a 2 cars passing meme situation here. Oh, but he moves out and the storms come in! 9 kills, which it always looks so much more dramatic than it is, but 9 kills, not bad. Recalls back. Can energy recharge his Templar as well. He just goes for an Archon on this one, but he has more storm. There's so many Templar right now. 5 high Templar, 2 charge lots on the 3rd. Feedback on the Raven. Storms on the front line. Warp Prism also on the front line. Maybe rethink that. Oh no, he lost the Prism. But there goes another storm. Clem didn't siege up throughout all this. And suddenly, hero is able to soften up most of the army. He's got multiple immortals. They're getting knocked down, but there's actually not that many Marines to draw fire past it. Widowmines slam home, but the siege tanks are already badly bruised. More charm plots are coming in, and hero will hold. What a heroic defense indeed. A bit haphazard, but Clem is whittled down and knocked out. He loses his tanks. He loses most of the Widow Mines. Unfortunately for Hero, he didn't lose the Raven as well, so that's still going to be a factor. But Hero much closer in supply, and now he has a worker lead. He hasn't really been cutting economic corners more than he had to, and is right back in it. Clem now building a Ghost Academy. He doesn't have an answer. Usually the answer before Ghost is just having a better army that you can split into bite-sized pieces that are all incredibly dangerous. Protoss, of course, can't even conceptualize bite-sized pieces because they don't have mouths. But Blink is now done. Raven, with almost no HP, blinks out of the mine. He's, of course, I'm assuming there are Templar in there, and he's not just intimidating things, but beautiful storms, gets an Archon, merged in a loving, if probably short relationship. Immortal, living up to its name for about 1 second of me saying that. The Archon is knocked out, and Hero might be going a little too far forward, but a full energy High Templar is on the way. The War Prism comes in, drops it out, and the storms rain down. A cataclysmic storm on the field, another one for good measure. And Hero plummets to 20 supply down, despite feeling like he got a lot of damage done there, and he's switching to Colossi. So Protoss supply is sometimes a bit misleading because of the Warp Gate mechanic, and not constantly having those, like, supply increases like Terran. But 20 supply is quite a sizable number, even with 9 gateways. Are those charge lots? Indeed they are. Those SCVs already softened up from some inclement weather. Multiple. The mules spending their short lives ignoring their responsibilities. We've all been there. And Hero is bringing things back together, but he still has to survive. Great feedbacks to start. That Archon might be taken out, but Colossus in position. Doesn't quite get in position to save the Archon. Widow Mines. Another Colossus on the way. Raven sneaking around the back. Slapping down. Strong words. And also auto turrets. 4 medevacs. But they're spotted. He knows. And spotted by an observer, not a pylon. Hero knows. Recall time? The medevacs drop out on the base. The EMP on the Nexus was too late. Clem actually tried to stop him from recalling at all. Oh my. Thankfully, there were no Templar in that prism. That looks like it, yeah, it just gets taken out. Oh, the medevac full of Ghosts and Marauders gets taken down. You know, I guess Clem's supply might look a little higher because Ghosts are 3 supply now. A slight increase from the 2 they were before. So having 4 or 5 Ghosts, definitely padding it a bit. Might have to adjust my assessment. Didn't really think about that, but this game has featured a lot of Ghosts. Otherwise, it's exactly the same army, just like 5 or 6 more supply than it was before. The Colossus out in front, the Storms, a historical counter to Vikings, also good here as well. The Widow Mines all across the board. The Stalkers in an awkward position, but the Templar keep trickling forward. Another Colossus falters. More charge lots coming in. Colossi, Zealots, also participating in the group activity. The Raven is still somehow alive. 5 SCVs dead. Dodges a Widow Mine, takes it out. And Hero has a slight supply lead. Oh, High Templar, a weird counter to Templar. Wait, no. Widow Mine's a high... Okay, Widow Mine killed the High Templar. That's what I was getting at. 4 probes dead to the Raven, which continues to be a menace. How many kills? Raven only has 5 kills, so that was really the most action at sea. Clem on 3 bases as Hero expands to 5. EMP's the main army. Disruptor fadeaway shot, parts the Red Sea, hits nothing but another one around the corner. And the Archon out in front, +2 is done. Hunting down the Marauders. More damage is being accrued. And the Widow Mines not in position yet to deal with this. Vikings taken down. Medivacs out of energy. Widow Mines will burrow, probably waits out a Disruptor shot for it, or just eats it right in the Archon's face, because that's how hero do. Meanwhile, Colossus still adding on a lot of damage from the back line. And it feels like Clem is not going to break out of this one. He might get the Colossus, but at what cost? Runs into the midst of the Protoss army. The SCVs are pulled off the line, and hero sends us to game number 5. Oh, what a game. So, hero leaning into his disadvantage, turning it all around with the storms. He had nothing. If he had played a normal kind of like safe macro game, Clem would have beaten him down. But instead, hero slips away again. The pocket sand strategy comes through. And that brings us to a deciding 5th match. He's such a different sort of player than either MaxPax or Clem's Protoss. And amusingly, Clem's Protoss may actually be either the... I would probably put Clem's Protoss specifically against Terran right behind hero. Because hero, his micro might not be as consistent, but he has the experience of many, many years of being a crazy person as Protoss. Whereas Clem has his 1 and maybe 1.5 strategies worked out, and he's so good at them. He's essentially playing Protoss like he plays Terran. About as perfect as you could get. And we have more games of Clem playing Protoss. He beat Beyond and Spirit. He beat the rank 3. Now, when we're counting Beyond as the rank 3 Terran, does that include Clem? If it's Clem playing against him? Because Clem can't play against himself. So, Beyond as the rank 3 non-Clem Terran. Wait, who's rank 2? Maru's rank 2 overall, but what the... Oh, Energy Bay. Energy Bay. Engineering Bay. Either way, though. I mean, it's such an odd scenario that we'll never get an answer to because, of course, we can't have Clem play himself as Terran. That is, with our current technology, not possible. To my knowledge. Honestly, the closest thing to Clem as Terran is Beyond. But, Clem has definitely surpassed Beyond. I think once Clem won the World Championship, he had been decisively surpassed his metaphorical father. Engineering Bay taken out. Hero decides instead, so a lot of players will just take a third somewhere else. They'll just circumvent it. And Hero does not. Hero pulls the probes to deal with it. Which is a less common, but perfectly valid way of doing so. What a great series. Honestly, I kind of expected even if it wasn't a clean sweep, usually for Clem, I kind of expected a very back and forth, like one-sided games. But almost every game has been pretty close, with mostly Hero being the defining factor of whether Hero does something crazy enough to turn it around, or the opposite. But he is the main character in most of his series. A Stargate! Huh. Adepts get... Wait, what? Adept gets... How does that even happen? How does what Adept get it? That's still enough to get the damage done. But we don't mind burrows. Hero noticed. Will he actually try to do the Adept timing? No. Well, my... he recalls the Adept out. What a save! Beautifully done. He has a probe? out on the map, I think scouting, well, in position to potentially scout for any sort of starport units. The Adept's coming back around, actually going to stop the command center from landing. Clem continues across the map, does not bother coming back. So now what? There are 3 Adept. Here we go again. It's gonna get weird. I have no idea who's ahead here. The Adepts, good micro, gonna try to kill off the Hellion, gets the Marines. Widowmine burrows, but he can pick it up. He does it. The sacrifice is actually a better option, and he gets away with most of this. Adepts headed back across. So far, the loss is 2 Adepts, 5 Marines, but Adepts are chasing. The medevac really unable to heal reliably. He picks up over the rocks, gets chased down yet again. Now a Liberator's getting involved with its anti-air attack. Another Phoenix is yeah, everybody, come on in. All right, we're fighting. Widowmine will burrow. Hero, will he use the Adept Shades to try to time it? Or he just ignores the Widowmine entirely, which is, oh, well, oh, that was bad. And again, the quest rests upon the edge of a knife, and Hero's like, oh, is this thing sharp? Hero just sends the Adepts right into the army and loses them all. And with it, possibly the series. He's not that far down in supply, but the army he faces is not... Well, that's a lot of Phoenixes, actually. Huh. Clem really doesn't have that many units on the ground. The medevac's bruised. The Cyclone and the Liberator and the fight, all of this. Well, okay, let's keep it going. The Adept Shade in again. Adept Phoenix. Hero wants to take a third, but he does not have the money to do so. Warps in another round. Phoenix is headed across the map. And Clem hasn't been able to build up his production. That's what hurt him pretty badly in some of the games so far. A delay on the production. Even though he has a good army right now, Hero is matching him. He just keeps building up and sending it. And it's working. He's kept Clem so busy, he hasn't been able to follow it up. Loses 1 Phoenix, kills several SCVs, a Marine or 2. There's a Robo Bay on the way. Siege tanks trying to get involved. Stim and combat shield. Why are the Adepts? Hero is crazy. Phoenix is coming in. Enough Vikings and a Liberator to severely discourage any further activities. Well, this is another kind of interesting scenario. Hero has all his tech. He has all the pieces. But he's still almost eternally at this vulnerable stage where his army could easily be broken. But he's building the right units, and if Clem comes in from the wrong angle, he's the one who's going to be coming up against a very uncomfortable situation. 3 siege tanks. There's not going to be stim. There's not going to be combat shield, but there's a large amount of Vikings. 7 Vikings against 7 Phoenix. There's a couple Cyclones underneath, a Liberator in the mix. It could be real problematic for ground units as well. There's not much of a ground army at all for Hero. The Phoenixes are on the other side of the map. Force field whipped out. Where are the Phoenixes? The Vikings hit the deck. Where are the Phoenixes? As Hero trying to put together the defenses, I'm sure, well, he's sending them back across the map. The Vikings already whittled down. Shield batteries coming online. Recalls back to the natural. This is it. You need to do the damage now or never. Gonna go straight for the Liberator as well, adding so much damage. Lifts up the siege tanks. The Vikings are forced back into the air. The Liberator wasn't taken out, though. The Liberator's still doing damage, and the Liberator seems to have broken the Protoss army. Colossus coming down is not an answer. That Liberator added so much, and the Vikings are hunting the Colossus into its own base. Shield battery recharged is still not enough. And hero, playing fast and loose throughout the series, will finally come undone under Clem's concerted assault by a similar sort of early mech army. He's still going to try, but that Liberator finally taken down. I really thought he'd target it right off the bat, and I think that was the big mistake at the end of the day. But now everything's knocked low. The last Colossus will tumble, and Clem will claim victory. 3-2.
Hell, it's about time.
What a series, though. These two battling it out. It's such... wow. A slugfest. Yet again, from carrier rushes to mass phoenix to storms. Honestly, Clem doing pretty much the same thing most of the games, but hero coming so close to unseating the world champion. I'm looking forward to more in the near future. I hope to see more of them facing off. It's kind of rare you see Europe versus Korea on anything but the largest tournaments, but thank you for watching. I hope it made your day just a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome. Check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But if you're liking and subscribing, it's still free, at least for now. And if you haven't yet checked out the second channel, Winter Gaming TV, for streams and more content and stuff like that, or if you're content with what's here, well, that's cool as well. Thank you to Wardi for putting on all the tournaments, especially this one. And, well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.